This video will discuss how version 10 makes it easier to use AEX files in your grid components. An AEX file is where you can take all of the global functions that you've defined in a project and put them into a single file. And by doing so, that enables you to use those functions in the XBasic event handlers in your grid components. So let's start out by creating a very simple function here, which we'll use in one of the event handlers in a grid component. So let's go ahead here and define a function that just emits the current date and time. So as you can see, I've created this really trivial function that just emits some HTML that says the current date and time is, and then it calls the XBasic function now, which returns the current date and time, and it puts the word current in bold. And so let's go ahead now and save this function, and then we can go to the interactive window and test it out. And you'll see that it just returns that string. So now let's go ahead and create a grid component and reference this function in one of our custom controls on the grid. So you can see here we've got a grid on the customer table in Alpha Sports, and let's go now to this country field over here and make that into a custom control. So we'll go here and we'll turn the control type into a custom control. And then let's go here now and define the custom control, and let's just keep it simple by removing all of the comment text that's already been there. And now we just need to have this function that's our custom control return some HTML. So we're going to call our function that we just wrote, and we'll call it over here. So you can see here basically the function that computes the custom control for this column is going to reference our show date time function over here. So let's go ahead now and save it. And now since this function has not been defined locally in this component, but it's going to come from the AEX file, we're going to now put a reference to the AEX file over here, and we'll scroll down to AEX files, and we're going to use the same name as the current database that we're in, which is alphasports.adb. So our AEX file is going to be alphasports.aex. Now it's not essential that the AEX file be named the same as the current database, but I'm going to point out a feature in the publish dialog that makes it very convenient if you do in fact use the same name as the current database that you're working in. So let's save our component and then go ahead and do a preview, and you can see here that it's showing the current date and time. Now technically it's actually getting the function out of the global namespace because we're still working, we still have this database open, but in a running running web application you do not have the Alpha 5 control panel open, and so the functions aren't going to be visible to you. So let's now take a look at the publish dialog. When you will go ahead now and publish this component, you'll see that there's a new setting here called compile functions into AEX files, and in part 2 of this video we'll explain what this does.